rookies, it's Iry, I'm back, and today I'm going to tell you a secret I've been holding for a couple of months now, and I'm so excited about it. I really wanted to tell you everything from the beginning, since I even started the whole process. But I didn't want to jinx it. I did not want to celebrate in advance and then just look completely stupid if I didn't make it. After I graduated from university in Singapore and I got my bachelor's degree in filmmaking, I promised to myself I will never go back to school because I did not want to go through more deadlines and homework and stress and everything that goes along with being a student. Don't get me wrong, I had the time of my life and studying in an art school was just so great. We could collaborate with the dance students, with the acting students. I saw the music student studios. Sometimes you'd have some fashion shows right on campus because of the fashion students. You would always have lots of colors and noise and exciting things happening. It was definitely not a traditional university, which I'm very grateful for because it was so fun. But filmmaking was never for me. I wanted to study acting, but my parents refused to allow me to go to Singapore if I chose acting as my degree subject. As a compromise, they say that I could study filmmaking instead, and even though it wasn't what I wanted to do, I thought that, okay, if I have a degree in filmmaking that is still close to acting, so maybe at some point I can revert from being behind the camera to being in front of the camera. I studied filmmaking and it was a lot of fun, but it was never for me, honestly. Even after you graduate, it is a really tough field to get into. It is very competitive. There are many people seeking jobs for very few jobs. It works very much like a pyramid. I'm not quite sure how you pronounce it, but in French you say pyramide, where you start as the assistant of the assistant of the assistant and you do that job for the next 3-4 years. So you basically start by buying coffee to everybody, and then you become the assistant of the assistant of the assistant, and then you become the assistant of the assistant, etc., until you become the assistant director or assistant producer. And even to become the assistant of the assistant, you have to have the passion. You have to really want it. You have to just go for it, and you have to do it even if they tell you that they're not going to pay you. Of course, I do believe that we always have to get paid for what we work so hard on, but in that industry you have to accept the fact that you might go many years doing some traineeships that are unpaid, and even to get those traineeships, it's really hard. I realized very quick into studying filmmaking that I didn't have enough passion and love for filmmaking to actually make it to the top, but I still continued to do my degree because I wouldn't just drop out of university and lose all those years that I spent there. Then I met my ex after I graduated from university and we moved together to Sweden. In Sweden, I just could not find any kind of job without knowing Swedish. So guess what? Even though I promised myself I would never go back to school, I had to enroll myself to SFI, which is Swedish for immigrants. I did it full-time for a year, and then I continued on to study in SAS, which is Svenska som andraspråk, which means Swedish as a second language. So for a year and a half I was there studying again full-time, and that time it was Swedish. I do not regret studying Swedish at all because now I do speak Swedish fluently, and that helped me get jobs later on in Sweden, and I can connect with John on a deeper level because we use his native language, so it's a win-win for me. But I definitely was not planning on going back to school. When I finished SFI and SAS, I promised myself I would definitely never go back to school. No way, I was done with tests and exams and studying and notebooks and classmates and stress. Guess what I did? I went back to school to study makeup full-time for 6 months. I started to post some artistic makeup on Instagram and I fell in love with makeup because I've always been into art since I was a child. I used to paint, I used to draw, I used to make some pots, some soaps, some candles. I've always loved doing things with my hands and using lots of colors and being creative. So when I discovered this new world of makeup that make you look like a dragon or that is just so crazy colorful, I absolutely fell in love with it, and I thought back then that that's what I wanted to do as a career. So I wanted to have a legitimate degree and I enrolled myself to what back then was the most expensive makeup school in Stockholm. I am not sure if it is still the most expensive, but I chose that particular school because it was the school that offered the longest number of hours of studying and lots of internships, and it was the most expensive. Of course, you cannot judge a school by how much the fees are, but I thought that by paying a lot more than for the other schools, I would get a really good utbildning. My brain is just dead right now, sorry cookies, it's way too hot in here so I can't think properly. I would get a better... I can't speak right now. I would get a better education. That is it, education. Yes, now I got it. But I totally did not. That school totally sucked. I freaking hated it. And I will make a video about that school at some point in the future. But honestly, it wasn't such a nice school. There were many things that I already knew. I made friends, which is what I am grateful for, and I went to some cool internships, but otherwise it was just a waste of money. And in total for that school, I think I spent about $9,000 because the school fees were about $8,000, and then I bought some extra things like makeup and brushes and whatever, and I'm not even counting my rent or food or, you know, just the things, the money I needed to live during those 6 months of studying makeup full-time. Thanks to my makeup degree, I managed to secure some jobs at places that I really wanted to work at. I really wanted to work for those companies, and I was targeting them from the beginning, and I got the jobs. But I realized that retail was really not for me. I started to work when I was 13 years old. I had my first job at a bakery, which is obviously retail, and I've had many jobs in Madagascar, in Singapore, in Sweden. I haven't worked in Malta actually, and I did retail, I did food and beverage, I did modeling a little bit. I'm not like a pro model, I'm super short so I can't model, but I did lots of different things, and retail was definitely my least favorite. It is what got me more or less depressed in Sweden, plus other things, and it's what made me go into hermit style even more, because you cookies know that I never leave home, I always stay at home. I'm more or less a hermit. I go out of the house maybe once every 2 weeks nowadays. I'm not even joking, I'm training at home so I don't need to go to the gym to exercise. John is buying the groceries, so I always just stay at home and do my things at home. But working retail really destroyed me mentally and completely disgusted me from other people. So I had to stop doing that, and I also realized that I do not enjoy doing makeup on other people. It is really not my thing. One of the only useful things that our head teacher at makeup school taught us is actually to say no to customers. If you know that they're asking you to do something that would look totally ugly. Of course, customers are always right, and as a makeup artist, I want to deliver exactly what my clients want. But at the same time, if you as a client tell me that you want to look like a clown that has been murdered and that has been dead for the last 20 years, I can't say yes to that unless it's Halloween. If it's Halloween, then definitely, yeah, hit me up. That is super fun. I love special effects makeup. But if it's for your own wedding, which has happened, or if it is for someone's wedding and you give me a color combination that I know will look horrible, plus you want extra contouring, extra that would look like dirt, and lots of crazy things. I cannot stand behind that work. I cannot let you get out of the house looking like that, and then if people ask you, who did your makeup? You're going to tell them, oh, it's Iry. You can even check out her Instagram. I'm going to be freaking embarrassed. Plus, it is not fun at all for me, because for me makeup is art. It is a way to express my creativity, to have fun with colors, and I have to be happy with what I made. So if what I made on your face is what you wanted, but I think it's freaking ugly and disgusting and horrendous and just unclassy, I cannot do that. And it happens so many times that my idea of art clashes with the customer's idea of art, which is totally okay. We all have different preferences, but I do not want to compromise on my art because it makes me very sad and unhappy with what I'm creating. I feel like I am totally rambling in this video, but it is not scripted, and I'm so excited, and new cookies are my friends, and this is so nice. Finally, after many years of really wanting to go back to school and to study, I am going back to school, and I'm so excited and I'm so happy, and it is the best thing ever, because for the first time in many years I feel like I totally have control over my whole life. Not whole life, definitely not my whole life. What am I even talking about? I meant own life, not whole life. I mean, I don't even know what I'm going to have for dinner later, so I definitely do not have control over my whole life. But I meant my own life. I'm going back to school in September, which is technically next week, to study international business and management. I started the process, of course, a few months ago, because it's not like I decide today I'm going back to university and tomorrow I'm at university. And I didn't want to tell you anything because I wasn't sure I would get in, because I think they wanted me to take an English test, which I ended up not taking because I managed to show them that, listen, I studied in English in Singapore, and of course I can go take the IELTS thingy, but one, it is expensive, two, it is 3 hours away from here, I don't feel like going there, and three, is it 3 or 4? This is the person that is going back to school to study business, and there is accounting in there as well. But 3, I already speak English. Of course, some of you complain about my weird accent or my French accent, or oh, I do not understand anything of what she's talking about, but I do understand English when the teachers speak, so I thought it was just useless if I were to take the test. And there were many other things that I had to submit, papers, I had to do this, I had to write an essay that I was very stressed about. I had to do many things to get in the school because it is a really good school, and there are some people actually that I see that didn't get in, which is really sad for them, but you definitely can be rejected from the school. So I really wanted to get in, and the process took a long time. It was a long process, it was rather complicated, and even though John wanted to help me, I always told him, no, I will take care of this by myself, for myself, all by myself, because I want to go back to school, I want to control my future, I want to control my life, I want to do something for myself. For the first time ever, I know this is right to study, and this is something I really want, and I am going for it. Of course, back then I really wanted to do makeup, but to be honest, I wanted to go back to school to study law, or business, or biology, or anthropology, how am I pronouncing that right now? But I could not afford those, and even though, of course, the makeup school cost 9,000 bucks, I still could afford it more or less, so that's why I went for it instead of what I really wanted. So now I'm really going for what I want, and I am so grateful to my husband for giving me the opportunity, because this will mean that I will entirely focus on my studies, and he will have to do a lot more at home, he will have to do a lot more financially because I will just be studying, I will be a student again, but he's totally on board, he totally supports me, he's totally happy for me, and here's one of the reasons I really went through with it, because he gives me the opportunity on so many levels, time, money, energy, and everything else to do what I really want to do. And yes, if you're wondering, I will be that old 25 years old married lady going back to university. I know in some countries, including Madagascar, it is considered as being a failure if you start going back to school after your mid-20s. But let me tell you that, for example, in Sweden, it is totally okay to go back to school anytime. Even if you go back to school when you're in your 70s, 80s, 90s, everybody else is just very happy for you. My ex had a friend that never knew what he wanted to do with his life. And finally, when he was 28 or 29, he realized he wanted to be a doctor. And everybody else was very happy for him. And I think now he's on his 3rd or 4th year, so of course he's going to graduate when he is in his mid-30s or even late 30s if he decides to specialize, and I think he's going to specialize. But then again, in Sweden it is totally okay to wait until you actually find out what you want to do, and it is accepted by society. So this is also a video for those of you who want to go back to school but feel like I am way too old, everybody's going to make fun of me, I'm going to be that married person going back to university with all these young chicken that are so fresh with no wrinkles and that are so cool and use some slang that I just do not understand. That is so me. I totally do not understand French slang nowadays. Every time I watch young French YouTubers, I understand half of what they're saying because the slang that I used is not the same slang that they use. So yes, I will totally be that old lady dressing up in classic boring clothes, no fancy sexy clothes, being married, thinking about how I'm going to pay rent and paying taxes with those university students that are much younger. So that is what I've been wanting to tell you, cookies. I am so happy about this. I just cannot wait to start, and of course I am scared and terrified because I somehow feel like this is my last chance. I am still going to go back to school later on to study law, preferably media law. I haven't given up on that, and I will definitely do it when I'm in my 30s or 40s or 50s. I do not care. I will have a law degree in the end and an archaeology degree. That I will do that probably when I'm done with this degree, because I found a part-time course that you can take in 6 years, I think, but then you graduate as an archaeologist, and I'm not going to do that to find a job as an archaeologist, but I love history and I used to want to be an archaeologist slash Egyptologist, so I still want to get that done, but I will do that as a hobby. But right now I will focus on this thing here, and I honestly feel like it is my last chance, and I do not want to disappoint my husband, I do not want to disappoint myself, and I really want to give it my all. Of course I will still make videos, do not worry about that. I'm not going to leave you, cookies, because I genuinely enjoy sharing with you. As you can see here, I am so freaking happy, cookies. I've been wanting to study something like this since freaking 2010. Since 2010 I've been wanting to study something like this. It's been 7 years and finally I'm going to school. It is so nice. It is a dream come true. It is just perfect. I'm so grateful for this opportunity, and I guess I am rambling right now. I don't know what to say anymore, but I will update you. I will film some going back to school outfits and makeup, but please do not expect anything fly or slay or lit or anything in that vibe, because I'm an old lady going back to university. I'm not cool. I'm not going to have the cool backpack with the cool logo t-shirts, because I'm a married 24-year-old turning 25 in 2 or 3 weeks, depending on when you see this video. And that's the end of this video. I hope you cookies enjoyed it. If you did, please leave me a thumbs up and subscribe if you do not want to miss the upcoming videos. And I guess until next time, I will see you at the next one. Bye!